Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back to another recording session of Hearthstone. So let's trade out this quest here for 40 to get to 60. So we need some priest cards, some mage cards, and win 7 games of any mode. The Super Tavern Brawl is still going on, so we're not doing that. And I guess there's nothing else to really deal with, so let's start with mage, I guess. Do I have a excellent mage collection of cards, or is it just this battle cry? It's just a battle cry. Alright, should we play ranked? No, we need to play casual. Not sure this is going to take too long. The only thing that's going to be really difficult is to try to get 7 victories for 100 gold. Speaking of gold, let's go down our list of news things. Late news brought to you very late. I should have a slogan that's something like that, considering I'm covering news like 3 months later from when these videos air. Again, don't really know how to fix that.
I will fight with honor.
The only thing I suppose I could do is I could say I could try, and this would require a massive amount of confidence and probably overconfidence on my part. I could take just a vacation from recording Hearthstone altogether. Like, if I did that, and then I would still have to play personally every 3 days, but I wouldn't record while I was doing that. It also means I wouldn't talk about any of the news that happened in that 3 months period, which, whatever, that's kind of the only way it would work. Maybe what I could do is instead double up. Like, record the things that are, release all the videos that have already been recorded, and start recording current news on top of it, and just eat up my buffer that way. I could do that, yeah.
Can I light your fire?
So yeah, that would work, but it all revolves around some confidence that I shouldn't have and don't have with my channel, that I'd actually get things scheduled and recorded in time. It's almost certainly something that I would implement if I had somebody working for me and their job was to just every day take all the footage and make sure it airs right as part of their job, and they would have to do more than just scheduling. Paperwork is a pain in the butt, but I can do all the scheduling that I do in like 1 or 2 days every 2 weeks. And so
You want to cast a spell? I want to cast a spell.
so that would have to be in consideration. There we go. But moving on, Hearthstone card pack prices are going up in the UK and the EU, which is to say that the cost when you spend actual money is going up. I'm not sure. I couldn't see anything that said or implied that that was going to also be the case for using gold. And I've long been on the stance that, in all honesty, you should only play this game as a free game, and you shouldn't give them any money at all.
Reporting for duty.
Even if you do try to go down the route, if you have more money than time, or if you're just rich, and you're gonna pre-purchase things for $50 on the new expansions, and you're gonna really flood as many card packs as you have, you're gonna end up spending $600-700 before you even get a decent collection of cards, and that only gets worse and worse as
I'm not lonely anymore.
Let the dark consume you. Let none survive.
right. So yeah, I assume it's still going to be 100 gold for card packs, which means in the UK and the EU, which the prices are different for both, and there's a whole adjustment there. And generally, it's just that the value of the pound and the euro is going down mostly because of Brexit. But there we go. Now I've got his Murloc.
Reporting for duty.
Cast a random spell that costs 5. I'll do that. And we'll kill this guy. And we'll do this.
Dead or alive?
And we'll do this. There we go. Speaking of the Brexit, the British game trade body, UKIE, has voiced concerns in their latest announcement over Brexit. What's weird there, I would say, is that there really is much of a trade body or much of a British video game creator industry anyways. Honestly, I would argue that some of the other policies that have been implemented should be see, deal 2 damage. You hear about becomes 2 damage. Ooh. Well, I'll do that. And then we'll go ahead and do that.
Dead or alive?
And this, and that,
Draw.
and that, and we got it. So yeah, some of the nanny state regulations, Church of England, conservatism laws, their porn law in particular, the fact that they've made all the internet providers in the UK by default censor and filter out porn, and that's only the beginning. I'm sure the next thing to be censored out will probably be censoring out anything that's anti the government. When you look at V for Vendetta, the UK always feels like it's much closer to actually turning into a totalitarian state than any other modern country, Western country. The closed caption circuit TV things where the citizens are always being spied on is not good. I don't even think they have freedom of speech as an established main thing in the UK. So yeah, I don't know, just even before Brexit happened, years before Brexit happened, I don't know if I would have even ever wanted to have a British-based video game company. Honestly, you could probably have a company like that in Poland, CD Projekt Red, or Sweden, or any other company. Maybe you don't go to Sweden because you might not get as much copyright protection in Sweden as you would like, but you could find any European country besides the UK and move your employees to that area instead of that. Moving on to I suppose, political turmoil, there's been a little bit that has happened. And see, I think I'm going to probably end up running out of things to talk about at this rate. I don't even know if I have anything too special to talk about.
What to do? What to
Like the
do?
next secret I play
Secret spells.
costs 0.
So fun.
So if I could get a secret, that'd be great, but I don't know if this deck actually has any.
For Dalaran.
Spells are fun. So fun.
So China has halted the already incredibly difficult licensing slash censorship regulations of bringing in South Korean made games to China. Now, the thing there, and again I'm talking about China, and man, dude, does it come up? I'm really not trying to do this, and I'm not even really frankly, I'm not even Greater Arcane Missiles will take that. I'm not following anything that brings this up so much. It just kind of happens. As far as I can tell, maybe there is somebody with a bias that is somehow influencing me with a bias, but this is, try to depict it as true as I know it. China did halt the licensing of South Korean games. This is probably because of the missile defense shield that the United States and is working with South Korea and Japan to install in that area, which is being installed at least on the face of it because North Korea is shooting out missiles. Honestly, the cruel trick here is North Korea is making everything worse, and the solution is simple yet brutal. We should just give a wink and a nod to China and say, just annex the land and kill all the North Koreans. Just genocide them all. That's it. I mean, that's really all we can do. Because China won't take over North Korea because they don't want their lands flooded with a bunch of North Koreans who are going to be very problematic and cause trouble, and they have too many people to deal with already. And South Korea can't invade North Korea because then China, well, I suppose China could, but I doubt they ever would, turn around and do the same wink and a nod and just say, look, you as South Koreans can invade North Korea and take over the entire land, and we'll just have our border be a unified Korea, a reunified Korea, right up to China, which wouldn't be great because South Korea then would still be a close friend to the United States, and so then there would be United States troops that would be right on the border of China. And see, that's what they don't want. They don't want missile defense next to them. They don't want troops next to them. And they don't like the potential threat that makes. That being said, at the same time, China, being a large country, is also trying to annex the Sea of Japan, which they call the Sea of China, and push closer and closer to Japan. And Japan being such a tiny country, unless the entire country just moves, it's an amazingly dangerous shape where it's just going to get annexed by China. So then China could claim all of the ocean right up to Hawaii and California as fishing expeditions and such, and there would be no nothing stopping a Chinese Navy from going all the way to the United States, and the United States doesn't want that. So Japan is our last line of defense before there's that expense. And so there's a lot of geopolitical things going on there, and none of it's really great. And North Korea is making it horribly worse, where everybody would just prefer North Korea just stay. We don't care if your country's horrible. We don't care if you're horrible to your own citizens. At least the politicians don't, because they just don't want that mess. They just don't want to have to deal with that mess. And so perhaps if there was a coup in North Korea and it wasn't being run by now the third generation of a dictatorship, almost monarchy, then perhaps there would be a leader in charge that they could negotiate on different terms. But right now, all their strategy has been to fire off missiles and pretend like they're going to war, and then stop development of missiles in exchange for food and supplies, because they simply can't grow food and supplies for their own people. It's not a self-sufficient country.
We have many secrets.
So yeah. But on top of that, the South Korean president has also been impeached. So South Korea is very vulnerable right now. There's a little bit of rioting going on. In a lot of ways, the argument has been made, and it's probably true, that in this environment where the United States President Donald Trump is saying the media is against him, and that investigations, seemingly legitimate investigations against him, are just witch hunts, we have almost the exact same scenario proved to come out in South Korea. The South Korean president was misappropriating funds, and a court formally impeached him. Now, it is worth looking at the history and knowing that, like all the presidents in South Korea, eventually end up getting impeached and eventually are embroiled in some scandal. And it seems like that's kind of because South Korea grew really, really fast. A big part of this is Samsung. Samsung in particular owns a ton of businesses, not just making like cell phones and TVs. They own like gas stations and grocery stores. And Samsung's, the father, the president still of Samsung, was bribing the president before this president. And the president before this president pardoned him for bribing him, which, okay, and then they ousted the president before this president. And so corruption is far too rampant, and they're trying to fix that. And frankly, they are succeeding at fixing that. An actual investigative journalist piece came out, and the South Korean president was buying, I think, horses or something for about like $1 million horses for a spiritual advisor who is the leader of basically a cult. And so this cult leader was having direct conversation and influencing the actual legal policies that were getting implemented by the president. So basically the South Korean president was pretty much a member of a cult, and because they were a member of a cult, they were influencing the policy. And so people were understandably upset about that, and they understandably said, look, these specific actions were inappropriate, and thus you're so inappropriate, thus you're impeached. And So now they will have a new election, hopefully, and move on to their next president, who hopefully is a little less corrupt or learns from the past and doesn't do the same thing. I don't know if it's to say that the entire Korean, like South Korean culture is corrupt. I don't think that's hugely the case, but there's frankly in almost every country a lot more corruption than you would see or know about in the news. Japan, for example, technically hugely corrupt because they allow the Yakuza, the gangs, to run crime unhindered. However, because of that, the amount of random petty crime is very low. That's to say, if you were a normal person, you're not going to run it. You're not going to get mugged. You're not going to run into anything like that. I don't know if they run protection rackets to business dealers, and that's just a part of running business or not. But
Excuse me.
a normal person, if they see a Yakuza person, is just going to walk the other way. They're not going to be robbed or shooken down. At least that's the thought. However, if somebody is doing poorly and they go get a loan from the Yakuza, maybe they do, and they don't pay back that loan, maybe they do end up thrown in the ocean and the police don't even investigate it. So it may be really a case of just the corruption is so high that murders are not even going reported that much. But that happens in the United States too. There's massive corruption in the United States, as there is in every country. It happens. It's a thing. We wish it wasn't a thing, but inherently it all kind of boils down to money, in my opinion. Money is the root of all evil, and as long as there is a way to make more money by bending a few rules, then that is certainly going to happen. In fact, just today, a advisor to the President Trump revealed that while he was advising President Trump, he was also getting millions and millions of dollars from the country of Turkey. Just the country of Turkey directly to push Turkey's agenda. Just a complete and total unethical bias, and they didn't catch it, and they didn't vet him enough to know that. And that's not only a shame for the Trump administration, it's also a shame for the CIA and the NSA to not have that information and find it out immediately and report it to the president. So, I mean, really, that's right there in the CIA's job, is they're supposed to tell you when somebody may be influenced or spying for another country. And I'm not saying he is a spy, but he is certainly influenced. Let's see, do we have anything else as far as the geopolitical landscape? Well, Rovio, the makers of Angry Birds, sold off their animation and book publishing business, which probably is stupid for them to even get into that business, but that's what they did, and they probably did get into it at the right time, if I'm gonna be honest.
Dead or alive?
Give me a secret.
Right away.
Angry Birds phenomenon went very hard. They did a lot of advertising and a lot of pushing there for Angry Birds, and in the end, I think they probably got a lot more money than they deserved from it. So I think that investment worked rather well for them, and now they need to just kind of roll it back. And what a company like this happens if you have one great success is to kind of roll it back, not forget your core. So every couple of years or even less, you should release an Angry Birds game just to keep it going. In fact, even 6 months, because of the way that game is, to keep it going, keep the people that love Angry Birds purchasing, and keep it in the mindset of people. But also, you've got to reinvest some of those profits and try to get your next big hit out there. Because they definitely need to try to catch a market that's not interested in playing the Angry Birds style of games or the Angry Birds characters. And they've tried to move the Angry Birds into other styles of games. Angry Birds Space is pretty different. But if I'm not interested in slingshotting people and I'm not interested in Angry Birds, that wouldn't have appealed very much. Oops. Should have attacked first. But I don't think Angry Birds is going anywhere for a while. What did I write here? Let's see. More. Trying to read my own writing. Oh, we just had a story like a week ago for me, if even that short, where Naughty Dog said it was unlikely that there would be any more Uncharted. And now the co-president, Christopher Balstrato, why do I even write their names if I'm not going to be able to read my own handwriting? Like, he's decided to retire, so now the question is, does that mean if we'll see a change in direction, and would that change in direction be actually a non-change in direction in the sense that they just decide to make more Uncharted? Frankly, they don't need to make more Uncharted games. They could just make more games that are like Uncharted. And a co-president retiring is a weird thing indeed, because that still means the other co-president is in charge, and so the ship probably isn't going to change directions that much. I somehow managed to play one priest card during that. We made good progress in this recording, and this is a recording, yeah. We've gone 30 minutes. 2 victories, so we still need 5 more, and we need to do the mage cards, and I want to actually succeed on the mage cards before I move forward. I have a decent number of things to talk about still. I'm trying my system of erasing things, and it's not working greatly. It does erase things, but then if I mess up a recording and have to go back, I'd have to re-find all the information. I'm just like erasing the first bit of the sentence, but usually the first few words in any sentence I write are the most important. And all the words are pretty important because I'm trying to shorten everything down to shorthand. Anywho, that's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.